All Things Sports Podcast. Check. Welcome back to the All Things Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Julian. I'm Dolo tonight, so rock out with me if y'all don't mind. We're gonna get into a bunch of training camp updates. NBA came out with a new schedule opening day. So that's exciting. We got the Knicks versus the Sixers on ring night. We'll talk about that. I want to hear you guys' thoughts, or read them, I should say, because I ain't gonna be able to hear y'all. But yeah, I got a couple things I wanted to just tap in with y'all. It's been a couple weeks now. So tap into the comments. Let me know what y'all want me to talk about. And while I go off on my tangents, just rock out with me for the night. I hope everybody's having a good night. But yeah, in the NFL world, I wanted to start off right here with Kyler Murray getting named starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, there was the Kyler Murray versus J.J. McCarthy, quote-unquote, quarter. You're not going to bring a guy like Kyler Murray in if you're uncertain about him being, the starter for at least the now. And that to me doesn't have anything so bad to say about J.J. McCarthy. I think he's still a young quarterback who is trying to find his footing and stay on the field when he gets the opportunity, for one, because he's dealing with a lot of health things over the last couple of years he's been in the league. But I think this will just be another teaching moment for him and an opportunity for him to continue to grow, especially alongside a guy, again, like I said, Kyler Murray, who's been a pro in this league and had his ups and downs and, came in rookie year and had some exciting moments in Arizona throughout his career. At 29 years old now, I think he's at his most mature point. And you ask Justin Jefferson, I mean, he wanted Kyler Murray to be the starting quarterback as well. And when your guy who is the number 2, arguably best wide receiver in the league, has a request or has an opinion on who he wants to be the quarterback, especially after some time that you guys have had some struggles there. Yeah, I think you listen to that. So I'm excited to see what Kyler Murray can bring to this offense. More of a dynamic quarterback, can run the ball, smart quarterback who is not really like a mistake maker. He's not like big on turnovers. He's had up and downs, as I mentioned, in Arizona, but I mean, you got to cut some slack too, right? You want to see it. By the way, shout out to Yusuf. This is just a rugby, man. It's just a rugby, bro. I ain't got no hoodie on. Ain't no hoodie. But shout out to you. What's good though? Yeah, so he's not like the most turnover mistake-making quarterback. But yeah, he played in Arizona, and they didn't really build the greatest team around him. So I'm excited to see what Minnesota can do with a talented quarterback. They have Aaron Jones back there, and they have let me fact check myself because he might have left in free agency. But Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, yeah. Aaron Jones is still back there, and they got some quality guys. So Kevin O'Connell being a good coach, we know this as well. We can see people were saying Indianapolis should trade AR, to Minnesota to see what Kevin O'Connell could do. Which the Anthony Richardson thing, I mean, we're gonna get to see what he is going into year 4 now as a backup quarterback who hasn't panned out exactly what we thought. But back to Kevin O'Connell being such a good coach, to Yusuf's point, he won 9 games with Bosmer, Carson Wentz at quarterback. And so just imagine with a guy who can get it to your number 1 receiver. He said he low-key wants to pick him to win the North, but I don't know. Right now, obviously Caleb Williams looks like he wants to take that division again. The Bears, Luther Burden going down in training camp's not ideal for them. But to me, the Packers and the Bears are the most promising teams in that division with, having the experience and Jordan Love being there as long as he has and Caleb Williams kind of coming to his own right now. Everybody's going to pick the Bears, and rightfully so, right? I mean, they had a really good year last year and showed out when it mattered. And I think they're only going to build on that. Ben Johnson is brand new in Chicago, and we saw what he did with talent in Detroit on offense, and now we're able to see what he was able to do making the playoffs for the Bears as a first-year head coach, something that they haven't done in some time. So I'm excited for the Vikings. Just going back and touching base on that Kyler topic one more time. JJ McCarthy, for me, I think still has a bright future ahead of him. I think if he takes this year and just continues to develop as a pro, continues to develop as a quarterback and as a thrower, I think he can make some strides going into the future because, Kyler Murray is on a one-year deal. Obviously, health has to line up for everybody, and you never know when your number is going to get called, 9. So, yeah, I just think that going forward, JJ McCarthy still has somewhat of a future in the NFL. It's looking kind of bleak as he's getting older and not getting starts, but it's up to him to stay healthy, and when he does get the opportunity, make the most of that. Yusuf's is saying that the defense, is screaming regression with letting their best safety walk, and then Kobe Bryant going down today with that 4 to 6 months, 5 to 7 or so month injury now with the knee injury. So yeah, 9 just needs to go to a team that'll let him hand the ball off 40 times. I mean, it's what he did at Michigan, and for Minnesota, taking them in the first round was a stretch. And I want to say they have a new regime there. I don't think the guys that drafted JJ McCarthy are in the front office now. So a lot of turnover, a lot of roster turnover for both of these teams, talking about the Bears and talking about the Vikings. The NFC North is going to be up for grabs. It's going to be competitive. And obviously, we can't forget about the Lions, right? They had a down year last year. They're dealing with health things. They're dealing with Terry and Arnold's situation. Kirby Joseph is hurt, right? And so it's a bit bleak right now in terms of trying to get back to where they were 2 years ago and kind of taking 1 or 2 steps forward and 3 or 4 back. But the talent on that Detroit Lions team, anyways, to me is a lot. So shout out to the Lions for making Jahmyr Gibbs the highest paid running back in the NFL. That contract was beautiful, actually. And before I get into that, let me just see what Yusuf is saying. He said he lost the battle and he wanted Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, and the GM didn't. Yeah, and we saw what Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones went on to be with their new respective teams in their first year with them. So, Sam Darnold, I think, played 2 years with Seattle, but Daniel Jones being the first-year quarterback in Indy last year with a great play caller like Shane Steichen and a good offensive line, great running back, he was able to make some noise for the first 8-9 weeks before he got hurt in Jacksonville, but he looks forward to coming back. So Jahmyr Gibbs, right, extended highest paid running back in NFL history. I think it's a credit to him and the work he's put in and who he's been in this league and what a threat he is running the ball. 3 years, $67.5 million through the 2030 season, up to $75.75 million, includes a $51.5 million guarantee, average 22.5 a year. I mean, we've never seen this for a running back. Bijan got 3 years, up to $75 million, 37 guaranteed, 22.25 average annual salary. And thank you for the correction here, Yusuf. Darnold felt like he's been in Seattle more than – yeah, you're right, because the year before that he was in Minnesota, and they should have re-signed him. But Jonathan Taylor also, in running back news, got the 2-year, $44 million contract. So shout out to the Colts for making sure he stays hometown. Our 2020 draft pick, we got him through the 2028 season. Max value $47 million, $39 million guaranteed at 22 per year. And so I think if you ask me, that's the number 1, 2, and 3 running back trio in the league. Bijan being number 1, Gibbs being number 1, Bijan at 2. And it's like a 1A, 1B kind of with them two. So shout out to them. And then Jonathan Taylor. But you just said big ups Mike McDonald, JSN, K9, and Darnold for hooping. Yeah, I mean, losing Kenneth Walker we thought it was going to hurt, but we saw in the offseason They got Jadarian Price in the draft from Notre Dame. And if you guys watched any bit of Hard Knocks last week, which once I get off here, I'm going to tap into that new Hard Knocks episode. But yeah, if you watch any bit of Hard Knocks last week, Jadarian Price looks to be that Kenneth Walker replacement, like a legit day one starter who can help this team go back to back and contend for another Super Bowl win. So I'm excited to see that. Yeah, the price hype is real indeed. By the way, Yusuf, I want to hear your thoughts. Tom Brady, partial owner of the Raiders, is urging that front office and coaching continues to develop Fernando Mendoza slowly and not just throw him in the games and force him in the fire. Sit him until he's ready was what Brady said. And I agree. I think that there should be no rush for getting Fernando Mendoza on the field, even this season. The Raiders, to me, aren't going to contend. They aren't going to be the most competitive team, probably a bottom five team again. And Mendoza, as good of a quarterback as he is, and I believe he's going to be in the future. We got Ray in the chat. Shout out to Ray. What's going on, bro? The Raiders aren't going to be, super competitive this year. And so if it's about reps, I think that reps in practice go a long way towards your development. And obviously being in the fire and having to play the game, it's going to help you regardless. But that's going to come. You don't have to rush that. You have a veteran guy like Kirk Cousins you're paying some money to who can, lead the offense and just get through the season. And also mentor a guy like Mendoza who seems very coachable, who seems, like a guy who just wants to soak everything in and learn as much as he can so he can be the best version of himself. We saw how he went from Cal to Indiana and just continued to get better and better each year. I don't see why that progression throughout his career would stop unless, coaching or bad development on Las Vegas's hands. So it's really up to them to get the most out of him in his career and not need to rush anything. They got to surround him with a good offensive line, make sure that the offensive line, while Jay, what's going on, bro? Continue to bolster up that offensive line, get some blocking for Genty, get some blocking for Fernando, get some weapons, most importantly, so he can throw them the ball. Obviously, you got Brock Bowers, who's a generational type of talent, but you're going to have to get an ex-receiver. And then a defense who won't just, allow so many points a game so that Mendoza can manage games and not have to come in here and be Superman, because I don't expect that to be, the story of his career where he's coming in and being this gunslinger like Josh Allen type of guy, Patrick Mahomes, and no disrespect to him. And I could be totally wrong, but I see him more as the game managing type of quarterback. So, Jay says they invested into the O-line this offseason. Hopefully it pays off. Yeah, but you want to see it first, right? You can't just, and not to say that you're making that point or saying that, but just in my opinion, you invest in the offensive line, but you still have to see it on field and know that it's a trusted source before you throw your young guy out there and, possibly risk an injury or stunt his development because he's not having time in the pocket to make the right reads. Wide receiver room is shaky. Yeah. And so Vegas is going to have to continue to just draft well. I think this could be another year where they just tank, right, and get a top draft pick. And you put a piece like, Jeremiah Smith next to Fernando Mendoza and Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers. Now we're cooking. And now we're excited to see what this offense can be, what Fernando Mendoza can really, really bring to this league. But up until they get a legit X receiver, I would definitely be patient as possible and continue to strategize how you can best develop Fernando Mendoza for, the longevity of his career. So I had a couple questions on Instagram. I know, shout out to Cardi. He wanted to know what I thought about the Colts, and I did talk about the Colts last year, or I keep saying last week. Injuries right now are kind of like making me a little nervous going into the season. Our number one receiver, who we signed 4-year deal this offseason, over $100 million to, is out, not practicing, hasn't practiced all offseason. Our number 2 receiver, Josh Downs, he practiced today, and he had a really good practice versus joint practice versus New England on the road, but he was down with a groin injury, and so just seeing all this is not promising, but optimism is definitely the route I'm taking. I do think that Alec Pierce will be ready for week 1, and this is very precautionary. But we've seen this as Colts fans from front office before, where they downplay an injury, and then lo and behold, guy's not ready to play, and it's kind of downhill from there. So hoping that changes this season. Alec Pierce will be ready for week 1. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor is energized with this new contract he just got. And then, a guy like Josh Downs, who is trying to play for his new contract, which is going to be coming up soon, he'll have a great motivation. Not that he needs it. Josh Downs is a dog, and he loves the game of football regardless. So he just wants to win his one-on-ones every day. And that's one thing I like about him. So I am going to, like I said, be optimistic that a second-year Tyler Warren is going to be such a threat in this league with a guy like Alec Pierce, who averaged, I think, the most yards per catch last season off a big contract off season. Daniel Jones coming back off of an Achilles tear. Jonathan Taylor, the rest, so on and so forth. I think the Colts can strike in the AFC because we saw what we rolled onto last year, and nobody believed it. We didn't know if Miami week 1 was a fluke or not, if Miami was really going to be that bad of a team all season, or if it was something the Colts were doing spectacularly. And it was a bit of both. The Colts played that smooth type of offense up until I think it was like week 5 when we played at Pittsburgh, and TJ Watt kind of had his way with the O-line, and Daniel Jones turned the ball over far too many times. So we started to see, okay, when the Colts play like an elite defense, what is Daniel Jones going to be? And that's probably my biggest question regarding the Colts offense specifically, but in general, right? Who's going to be the guy to win us games? Because if you look at our receiver room, I'm not entirely super excited for it. Our wide receiver 3 is between Ashton Doolin and Westbrook. So it's not super, super exciting to know that, like, all right, who's going to be the 3? We don't know just yet. But what I can hang my hat on is that when we did have a healthy team last year, it didn't matter who we played. We came out and it was competitive. Even though we lost that game in Kansas City and we lost that game in Pittsburgh with those elite defenses, and Daniel Jones was a different quarterback, we still were competitive, and it was still a game we could have won in both of those. Let's see. They're telling Achane 40-plus carries already for close games. Yeah, I thought I saw a report where Jeff Hafley said he better make sure that he's in shape. Make sure he's in shape. So can't forget Phillip Rivers almost winning in Seattle. What a game! What a game! People was hating. It was. I think we can move on from the Phillip Rivers conversation. It was funny last year and very surprising to see until it became an actuality. And he went out there, he threw a couple touchdowns, but, Father Time is unforgiving. And just much respect to Phillip Rivers for even stepping back on that field, taking, having the courage to put the pads back on after sitting out for as long as he did. And it was definitely a storybook moment for a guy like Phillip Rivers to come back and re-experience the NFL at this pace. But we don't want any of that, right? We got Anthony Richardson as our backup, Riley Leonard as our number 3 quarterback. And to end the season, it was the opposite, right? Riley Leonard was our backup. Anthony Richardson was our number 3, and he kind of got demoted from starter to almost off the team. It seems like it might be this year. But He's going to get the chance on Thursday to start in New England, first preseason game of the season. And, I'm rooting for the guy. I definitely root for Anthony Richardson. I have no reason for me to want him to fail. I just think, between him not handling everything as professionally as he could have throughout his career, and him also having maybe the short end of the stick, if you will, for certain situations. I think the injury was a freak accident that it kind of just set back a setback. But tapping your helmet and then the media crucifying him was a lot. But also, this is a guy who went 6-6 at Florida in college and threw under 50% or 55%. So it was a project to begin with. He became the starter, won a couple games, had some hype. Combine obviously boosted his hype, and the expectation was set. And when it's not met, yeah, you gotta acknowledge that. But between Coach Steichen not really being a fan of his or the biggest anymore, it's tough. I just want to see him come out and ball in New England. He's starting our preseason game, by the way. Daniel Jones will not be playing this preseason coming off of that Achilles tear. He's going to be ready for week 1. That's the goal. But Anthony Richardson will get the first half. Riley Leonard will get the second half. And I guess the coach will evaluate throughout the preseason who's going to be our backup quarterback. So, again, Cardi, to answer your question, bro, I'm going to be optimistic about this Colts season. We have a tough schedule, especially to start the season. But when we were healthy last year, it gave me no reason to think, we can't win a bunch of games. So we'll see how this year comes out. And Daniel Jones is also getting a lot of praise in training camp this season. So I'm excited to see what he'll do year 2 as a Colt. But NFL, I think that's kind of all I got with the NFL. I wanted to jump into the NBA and look at this NBA opening day schedule. Pull this up, share my screen with you guys real quick. Share my screen with y'all real quick. We're going to Instagram. Let's go to Instagram. So we got Philly at New York at 7 p.m. Oklahoma City at San Antonio for the late game. And I believe they added the primetime European game, which would be – oh, wow. Sorry, I didn't even add that to the stage. But, yeah, they added that Boston Celtics Detroit Pistons game at 3 o'clock. And I know that we're probably looking at that like, 3 o'clock, that's kind of crazy, right? But apparently that's like the primetime schedule for Europe. And as we know, this is a global game. Adam Silver has been working diligently to continue to push the needle and keep the game as I guess reachable and relevant overseas, which I'm not upset about, right? If you love the NBA, and you're a fan and you want to have an opportunity to watch, Adam Silver's trying to give fans in Mexico, fans in Dubai, fans in Africa, and all through Europe an opportunity to experience it the way we do here and there. So not everybody loves Adam Silver and everybody makes the David Stern jokes, God rest his soul. But I think in terms of just growing the game of basketball in the NBA globally, he's done a phenomenal job. So do we care that it's the Pistons and the Celtics? I think it'll be a good game, right? Kate Cunningham, Jason Tatum, you got a bunch of stars on the floor there. Let's, I guess, warm it up for primetime. Knicks, Sixers, LeBron James going to his favorite, probably his favorite venue that's not his hometown or home team's venue for the season. Madison Square Garden, the cheapest ticket is going to be around $2,000. I mean, true Knicks fans are getting priced out, which it's unfortunate. And as a Hurricanes fan, I experienced it. It's nowhere near, by the way. I'm not trying to make the comparison to Madison Square Garden and Hard Rock Stadium down in South Florida. However, However, 2019, 2021, 2022, I was going to Hurricanes games for $30, $20. And any seat in the Hard Rock Stadium, by the way, is a good seat. You're going to get a good view anywhere you sit in that stadium. That's one thing I love about it. But you can buy like the cheapest ticket, sit there and enjoy the game and feel the environment. But the Hurricanes are a championship contending team now. And if you want to go to that, Florida State UM game nowadays, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. It's not going to be cheap. And so at what cost, if you want to say, or double-edged sword, whatever the case, at the end of the day, if I'm a fan of a team, I'm going to always hope that we're contending for a championship. Ticket prices can be whatever, as long as we're contending for a championship and I'm watching meaningful games, especially late in the season or in the playoffs championship. But it is sad to see that like a bunch of, Knicks fans have been diehards for the last 50 years, for the last 20 years, even the last 10 to 15 years, depending on their financial situation. Obviously, some people can't afford those tickets, but a lot of people in the majority can't, right? $2,000 for a nosebleed, and it's also just kind of like ridiculous. If you can afford $2,000 for a basketball ticket, I think you deserve to be sitting somewhere in the lower bowl. But you're probably going to find like a standing room only ticket there. So that kind of sucks. But, I think the NBA did a good job with this opening night schedule. I'm going to do Christmas Day now because there's some good matchups here. So, obviously, 12 o'clock, we're getting a finals rematch. 12 o'clock, let me accept these cookies or whatever the case. But, yeah, we're getting Knicks Spurs at the Garden. And hey, it's a new slate. It's a new season. Obviously, it'll be December at the time, so it won't be, opening night or anything like that. But it's a new season. And what happened last year was last year. The Spurs obviously are going to be coming back with a vengeance and eagerness and exciting, time to get some get-backs and set a new tone for this season and set something to look forward to for possibly a finals rematch. We quite possibly might get an NBA Finals rematch from 2026 Spurs Knicks, but we also might get the Heat going back to the finals. We're just going to have to take care of the Celtics on Christmas Day. So shout out to Boston, shout out to Miami getting that 2:30 slot. This is like, you just finished the Knicks game. All right, you're chilling with the family. Let's watch some Giannis versus Jason Tatum in Boston. I'm not mad at that. I do think we come away with that win because it's Boston. But we got a great matchup right here. By the way, opening night, Miami's opening night, they're going to host Minnesota. So Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball will be in downtown Miami for Miami versus Timberwolves and Giannis's Heat debut. LeBron going back to LA. We're going to have Bron versus Bronny, family duel. Somebody said that LeBron James made the call. He wanted to be home for the holidays, so he's going back to LA right in time for Christmas. The king is home. But I think nonetheless, this is going to be a good matchup. One, because, anytime a guy is facing his former team, especially when he's made an impact there, let alone win a championship, I think it's a cool thing. We're going to be able to see the Lakers probably do a nice tribute for LeBron. It'll be on Christmas Day. So the vibes will be there. We'll probably have just eaten something, maybe the early supper, dinner eaters be resting off that first plate. But LeBron James going to LA, and then you got a bunch of guys who LA signed who seem hungry, right? Quentin Grimes, you got Colin Sexton. And I just think it's going to be a good time for what we can see from this game. I don't know who's going to win this game. I don't know who's going to be healthy at this point in the season for Sixers, and I'm not here like doing my predictions for Christmas Day. I just wanted to look at the schedule. But Yusuf said he doesn't care to see Bron playing the Lakers. He wished they rather had Sixers Celtics. Yeah, it could have been nice too, but you got Miami, bro. Miami's back. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to get used to that logo again. I know it's been like 2 years where NBA hasn't had to pay attention to this logo right here, but this logo is going to be very, very relevant late in the season, and they're going to be a threat to them. They're going to be a threat to them. I don't think this team is going to be a threat, but this team right here is going to be a threat to them and a big threat to them. So 8 o'clock, we got another great matchup. Excited to see this one. Shea Gilgeous going on the road to Minnesota. Christmas in Minnesota. Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball. This duo. By Christmas, we're going to have a good grip on like how this Minnesota Timberwolves team can pan out by the end of the year, like maybe what they need to do at the deadline, if there's any moves they got to make, or reassess things. But by Christmas Day, we'll know, like, all right, this team is legit. They're better than last year. Or, hey, I don't know, man. I think they're missing Naz Reid. I think they're missing Julius Randle. But I think it's a good benchmark to see a second round matchup rematch. And then to close off the night, I mean, this is the one that I'm not excited about. Golden State, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, Axel Landenberg, who that I am excited about to see how he does his rookie year in Golden State. But I don't know, man. Golden State doesn't move me at all. I don't think they're contending for anything serious this year. And I say that with respect, understanding that one of the best players ever is still touching the floor for them. But, Jimmy Butler's coming off a big injury. Draymond Green, defensively, obviously, he's amazing. But, where are the key contributors on this team here? Denver, on the other hand, they should kind of just continue to do what they're doing, and I expect them to be competitive, but not competitive enough. And so that's the 10:30 game. It's a Friday night. Christmas is on a Friday this year, so obviously things will be closed, but I'm sure some clubs will be open. Maybe people just go outside and skip out on that on that late night game. So Yusuf said they should have had y'all come to the Garden, but they wanted the Spurs because of ratings. And I agree. Yeah, I would have loved the Heat to play you guys, but I think it's fitting, right? Christmas Day, you get a nice finals rematch. It's going to be a fun time. And last but not least, he said, I see what they did because NFL slate is crazy. If everyone's who they're supposed to be. Yeah, I agree. NFL on Christmas Day. Let me tap into that real quick. I saw it earlier. I think the Bears are playing. Yeah. Packers at Bears. Bills at Broncos. And then, man, this right here. Rams at Seahawks. Wow. Rams at Seahawks got to be 8:15. So we got a 1 o'clock game, 4:30 game, and then an 8:15 game. But I do believe we're going to get 3 bangers here. To Yusuf's point, if everybody is who they're supposed to be and injuries, hold up. But Rams Seahawks, we got a thriller last year. Rams Seahawks 2025. I mean, man, back and forth game. If you missed it, you missed it. But yeah, Seahawks defeated the Rams 38-37 in overtime, coming back from 16 down. And they ended up going to win the that was the week before Christmas or the week of Christmas, actually, last year. So they're going to play on Christmas Day. But, yeah, they're going to be able to try to show what they can do and get that back. If the Rams want to get their get-backs, they have the opportunity. But that's going to have a lot of implications on who wins that division by that time of the season. So should be fun. Christmas Day. We got Christmas Day. We got opening night for the NBA. It's going to be a great time. Yeah, this is true. Last year was terrible. NFL on Christmas, all backups except Dak and Goff, I think. So hopefully, the injuries, like I said, don't kill the excitement for Christmas. But worst case, like I said, it's Friday, man. Be with your family. Don't forget that we have family to lean on when things get rough. in the sports world. But I think that's it, man. I just wanted to tap in with y'all. I didn't even think I'd be up here 40 minutes, but I wanted to tap in with y'all, get some thoughts off, and check in. So I'll probably see you guys next week. Try to be back. If not late this week, definitely next week. I'll tap back in with you guys. So appreciate everybody that tuned into the stream. Make sure to follow on Twitter at ATS Pod. Make sure to follow on Instagram at ATS Pod Official. And subscribe on the YouTube if you're watching. Subscribe on the YouTube. Like the video. Share with your friends. Let them know you like my opinions. I mean, if you're watching me, right, you got to have some sort of respect. Yusuf, you already know you're a real one. Am I seeing you if Sean does something for his birthday? By the way, I think Sean's birthday, what's today? Tomorrow. So shout out to Sean, man. Shout out to I Hate Sean. Y'all go tap in with my boy, Nick's Twitter King. Or I should say the king of Nick's Twitter. Big shout out to my boy Sean. It's Leo season, man. Pops, everybody growing with grace. So shout out to y'all boys, Mora as well. Yusuf, I'll probably see you, bro. I'll probably see you. So it's all love, everybody. Take care. Y'all have a great night.